Good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Philadelphia Hot Sauce Festival 200 here at Richmond Raceway. My name is Bob Giaquinto. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight on the Tabletop Trio Podcast Network, both on Twitch as well as on YouTube. If you're joining us in the chat, make sure you pop in, say hi. And if you like what you see throughout the race, feel free to like the video, subscribe, and all that fun YouTuber stuff. This is going to be a very, very fun race for us tonight. 72 degrees at the track, so it's going to be nice and cool, going to be plenty of grip, and there are a ton of things to watch out for tonight's race. First, it's the short track battles. Keep an eye out on those as this race goes on. It's going to be a full contact race, nothing like we saw in the real life NASCAR Cup Series race last night, but it definitely is going to be fun with a lot of battles all over the racetrack, and you have to watch the power. Coming out of turn 2 and turn 4, but more specifically turn 2, for whatever reason, a lot of drivers have been having issues coming out of the corner. You can't really put too much power down, so that's going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on as the race goes on. Guys getting a little more desperate, maybe trying to cheat a little bit, get the gas going a little too early. They wind up spinning out, losing control, and it's race over. The other thing, because this is a short track, you got to manage those emotions. You're going to get angry. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get upset. Just kind of keep a cool head and all will be well tonight. And finally, watch out for some of those desperate dives getting into turn 1 especially. The corner really widens out at first and then narrows down to 1, maybe 2 lanes. So you got to keep an eye out to the inside. Make sure no one dive bombs in on you. And if they do, keep an eye out on it because it very well could spell disaster. So that is your preview for the race. And so far out front is the number 27 machine of Anthony DeBarro with a 21.73 second lap time. Do believe he is out on track right now. He's coming out on track. And that good looking number 27 white and red machine there for DeBarro. He had himself a pretty decent race last week at Daytona. Pretty decent couple of races for tonight. Before we get everything started, however, I do want to mention a couple of great folks. First, the folks at the Philadelphia Hot Sauce Festival. That is going to be going on this Saturday and Sunday at Neshaminy Creek Brewing in Pennsylvania, Croydon, PA. So if you're on the eastern side of PA, make sure you take that trip down just outside of Philly. It is going to be fantastic. 23 of the area's best hot sauce makers are going to be there, slinging sauce, enjoy beer, great music, good times, and man, it is going to be so much fun. So make sure you check them out. You can get your tickets today at Philadelphia, at the PhillySauceFest.com. A couple of cars out on track actually have the Philly Sauce Festival colors. One of them is this guy, 35 machine of Robert Tripp. Get a good look at his paint scheme as he goes around. Neshaminy Creek, the location for the event this weekend. That is going to be a ton of fun. All the different hot sauce manufacturers there on the deck lid. That is going to be a great event. Make sure you get your tickets today, PhillySauceFest.com. A couple other folks I want to mention for tonight's broadcast. All of our camera angles there are brought to us by Track Cams for Gourmets. You can check out the link for them in the description down below. And as I say that, we are going to get ourselves ready to go for qualifying. 2 laps. Whoever sets the fastest lap is going to be on the pole, and it's going to be a lot of fun. While we do some qualifying, we'll talk about the points for the TNR League. First place gets you 122 points, and then 3 points less for every position back. If you lead a lap, you get 5 bonus points. If you lead the most laps, you get an additional 5. And if you're on pole, you get 5 points. So this could be huge for some of the guys, especially a little bit further back in the standings after 2 races. And speaking of which, Our point standings for tonight. Brian Underwood won the second of the two races. He's our points leader. Jeff Price, 19 points back. Tim Johnson, Chris Cabot, and Bronson Stafford. You'll see the rest of the top 20 up there on the screen. Some guys a little surprising to see towards the back. Jamar Dumas, Philip Scott there in 19th and 20th. Garrett Gleason having himself a pretty decent run there in 13th. Jonathan Gaston in 12th as well. So a couple of guys just living and dying there by the super speedway shuffle. But let's take a look at the standings so far. A couple of guys changing positions as we wait for our scoring bug to get itself figured out. Luna Albright so far on the front row. As we'll try to get this one reloaded here for you. Everything kind of mashing together right now, but Luna Albright so far on pole with a 22.04. Tim Johnson, a 22.05. John Daniels, 22.10. Chris Cabot, who is just finishing up his laps with a 22.13. Brandon Bookwald just goes on for completing his first lap. As Bookwald right there, currently in P11. He'll move up just a little bit, but not too much. As Mike Tellier, he'll go to the front of the leaderboard with a 22.02. So real good lap for Floppy, as that was his second lap. Anthony DeBarro, he's going to go top of the board now with a 21.91. So they're getting just a little bit faster here as this race goes on. Or this qualifying session, rather, goes on. Brian Underwood out on track. We'll ride on board with Underwood. He'll go 21.906. That's good enough for P6. See if he can pick up a little more on his second lap. He does. And he'll go up to P5. Just like that, I think that should be everyone else out on track at the moment, as the track goes quiet. Throw the best times up there so you can take a look to see who all is out there at the moment. 18 drivers have put in their qualifying times of the 21 that have showed up here tonight. Anthony DeBarro on pole for now at a 21.90. Mike Floppy Tellier P2 with a 22.02. As we should just be getting ready to wrap up qualifying here for tonight. And taking a look here at some of the notes, I was chatting with a couple of the drivers in the field before the race, and they were saying that for tonight, looks to be about a two-stop race. Everyone can get about 80 to 90 laps, give or take, on a tank of fuel, so we're going to see 2 pit stops. But that being said, we'll take a look here at the starting lineup for tonight's race. on pole, the number 27 rather, of Anthony DeBarro, Mike Floppy Tellier, P2. In row number 2, we have the 8 of Luna Albright and Tim Johnston. Row 3, we have Brian Underwood in 5th, John Daniels in 6th, Chris Cabot in 7th, Shane Ewing 8th, Jamar Dumas and Jonathan Gaston round up our top 10. In 11th is the 99 machine of Philip Scott, Jason Shue on his outside. William Ratliff and Brandon Bookwald in 13th and 14th. Josh Kreider, Jason Gracias in 15th and 16th. Jeff Price, Garrett Gleason in row number 9. Row number 10, Robert Tripp and Adam Stewart. And rounding out the field is the 24 machine of Jacob Bettis. So this is going to be a very, very fun race. 200 laps here at Richmond. And it's all going to get ready to go very, very soon. It's going to be a fun one. I really do think it could be chaotic, especially coming out of turn number 2. I think guys are really going to have to manage their tires. They were saying the tires really kind of started to fall off after about 20 to 25 laps. The car got both tight and loose in certain parts of the corner. Very difficult, like I had mentioned earlier, to get the power down. So you are going to wind up sliding around quite a bit. And watch out for turn 2. That is going to be very, very difficult to manage as everyone's getting ready to drive off. 2 pace laps here for tonight. As everybody here just getting themselves warmed up. Pit stops we'll expect probably somewhere around lap 70, even though you can do 80 to 90 laps. So anytime after lap 70 will probably be in the wheelhouse there. A lot of guys were thinking, okay, maybe we do 70 laps. Yeah, for the first run, come down, pit on lap 140, and this way it's just a 60... yeah, maybe this way it's just a 60-second... or a 60-lap run there at the end of the race. But we shall see as everyone getting ready to go. The lights on the pace car are off. And for whatever reason, my scoring bug thinks we're on lap 2, so we're going to have to get that one reset. But here we go. Pace car getting ready to pull off, make the hard left turn down pit road. Our leaders, Anthony DeBarro, Mike Floppy Tellier, getting ready, waiting for the flagman. Flag in hand, green flag is out. And DeBarro gets a great jump on the start. We're underway here in the Phillies Hot Sauce Festival 200 here at Richmond. Everyone minding their P's and Q's so far. As DeBarro is going to lead lap 1 a little further back in the pack. We got a battle for third between Tim Johnston, Brian Underwood, Luna Albright, and, well, basically half the field. Albright now taking a look to the inside of Mike Tellier. Can't quite get anything done here. Here's Underwood to the inside of Johnston. Johnston not the preferred line. They're side by side with a few more drivers just around them. 2 by 2. Looked like one car in the wall. That was the 0-2 of John Daniels. Daniels falling back just a little bit. As now he's got the 32 of Shane Ewing on his inside. Ewing and Daniels still battling this one out. Just some great racing here so far. We're only 5 laps in, but we're clean and green for now. And as I say that, sounded like a driver might have gotten into the wall. Didn't exactly see what had happened there. But all is well. Robert Trick looking a little bit off the pace. But at front, we have a battle for second. Albright to the inside. Mike Tellier on the outside. Albright takes a look to the inside. They're still side by side. At this point in the race, very easy to get going. But unfortunately, sometimes tires may not want to work. And of course, as we're doing this now, my overlays decided they don't feel like working right now. So I will get on that. Bear with me for just a couple of moments. As out front, Anthony DeBarro still able to drive away with this one. In P2, we still have a good battle going on between the 97 and the 8. Flobby has it. Albright wants it. As for whatever reason, my overlays still are not happy with me. Apologies for that. There we go. Now we're back up and running. Out front, this is one of the best battles that we're seeing on the racetrack right now. Albright in the 8, Tellier in the 97. This is the gap for second. As we take a look to the inside, there's Albright to the inside of Tellier. Right on the quarter panel, they're side by side. A little bit loose is the 8. You can hear the tires squealing ever so slightly. As we're now 15 laps into this one. DeBarro opens up to about a 1.2, 1.3 second lead. A little bit further back, here's Chris Gabot. Gabot trying to work on his teammate Tim Johnston. About a car length separates these two drivers. As we'll jump on board with the 25 machine. A little bit further back, we got a good battle brewing here. Dumas gets a little bit out of sorts. He's got the 06 of Josh Kreider in front of him. Shane Ewing there side by side with Philip Scott. Scott to the inside. Oh, Ewing just barely scrapes the wall. That's going to slow him down. He loses at least one spot. Possibly more. As he's now got the 28 of Jamar Dumas to his inside. They're side by side. Dumas has the advantage. That's Josh Kreider there getting around John Daniels. A bit further back, 32 might have scraped the wall just a little bit. He's got the number one at Jason Gracias just underneath him. Ewing, definitely one of those drivers that enjoys just saving his stuff, hanging out. He knows it's a long race. He's got plenty of time to get ahead. Same with Gracias. Those are two drivers that are really, really good at saving until the end while still being incredibly fast. Meanwhile, up at the front, that two-car fight has kind of turned into a four-car fight, as now running third, fourth, and fifth are Tellier, Albright, and Underwood. Still not a whole lot going on with this fight. Tellier able to hold on to the spot for now. That's your gap between first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Just some great races there. As we saw, looked like the 0-2 of Daniels got a little loose heading off into the corner. Couple of guys just scraping the wall down the back straightaway. Just some real good looking cars out on track at the moment. Meanwhile, towards the back, Robert Tripp trying to put a little bit of pressure there on the 95 of William Ratliff. The PhillySauceFest.com machine. It is always cool, I'll be honest, seeing the cars without the headlight decals or anything like that. Just pure race car. Love to see that. No branding necessary, except for, you know, the sponsors. But the field has spread out pretty well. Anthony DeBarro still leading. He's opened up a 3-second gap over the 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier. But we have got a good battle brewing. Here's the 6 of Underwood. He's going to take a peek to the inside. Can't quite get any of that done. You can see the gap there. Underwood and Tellier side by side battling this one out. Tellier is able to make that high line work for him. Just wonder if that high line is going to be the best bet for him, or if this is going to be one of those things where he uses the high line too much, it hurts the tires and just kind of slows him down. We're definitely going to have to see, but so far they are even with one another down the back straightaway. That time by, Underwood went to P2. Still plenty of time before pit stops. But now Underwood is going to have the advantage. Now it's Tim Johnston who's going to be taking a peek to the inside of Tellier. The difference here between Johnston and Tellier. As this battle is really heating up, Tellier may have actually used up his tires just a little bit more than he had hoped, as he's now starting to fall back ever so slightly. Albright there as well. Honestly, didn't even realize that Albright had fallen back that much too. Meanwhile, out front, the gap between Anthony DeBarro and Brian Underwood, 5.5 seconds, now 4.3 seconds. As Underwood and Johnston go to battle now. Johnston gets a spot from Underwood. Made that one look easy. Now we're back here with Tellier finally able to get everyone that was underneath of him out of the way. That definitely hurt Tellier as he went from second all the way down to 8th. And that gap just kept growing. So 4.4 seconds back from the leader. And here's Garrett Gleason, one of the first drivers to possibly go one lap down, as we see the leader right off of his back bumper. As Gleason just pulls over and says, all right, go ahead. You got this. Got another good battle going here. This is the 06 of Josh Kreider trying to take a move to the inside of Albright. Can't quite get that one done. As we have one driver on pit road right now, that's the 95 of William Ratliff. Looks like that could be an unscheduled pit stop. So they are going to change tires, but I don't think this was a scheduled pit stop. I mean, we're 42 laps into this one. Short pitting now, taking 4 tires. Don't know, we'll have to see. Meanwhile, out front, Anthony DeBarro is your race leader. He just put Adam Stewart a lap down. Good looking number 4 car there for Adam. Adam was telling me that, you know, one of the big things that he's working on this season is pit road, getting onto pit road. He had a couple of issues last season, he was telling me, in the truck series that just was difficult for him to get used to getting into pit road and all that. So having himself a pretty good run here so far, down in 18th. but still has all 4 tires on the track, all pointing in the right direction, so you can't complain too much there. Looks like we got another pretty decent battle still raging on between Underwood and Gabot. Tim Johnson starting to trek away just a little bit there, about a second in front of this battle. Couple of real good-looking race cars there, that is for sure. As we see Garrett Gleason heading down pit road. Looks like Garrett might be pulling off for the race, as I haven't seen any tires go on it yet. Yeah, looks like he has backed out. So an unfortunate end for Garrett. Meanwhile, out front, starting lap 49, here's the 27 of Anthony DeBarro. DeBarro's got a 4.5-second gap back to Tim Johnston, who in turn has a pretty decent gap over the 6 of Brian Underwood. As, oh man, big slide coming out of the corner for Gabot. Great save, able to keep it going in the right direction. So far, we've gone 50 clean, 50 green. Quarter of the way through this one here at Richmond. Hey, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Tabletop Trio Network, both on YouTube and Twitch. If you like what you see, feel free to give us a follow. Subscribe over on YouTube, follow on Twitch. TNR broadcasts every single Monday night, right around 8 o'clock Eastern. And new this season, starting tomorrow, the Speed Xfinity Series race presented by the Gold Octopus. That is going to be right here on 9 o'clock on Tuesday nights, both on Twitch and YouTube. And as always, the Tabletop Trio podcast, Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock Eastern, or wherever you find podcasts on Thursdays. So we got a fun week of programming scheduled here on the Tabletop Trio Network. But right now, the best battle on track are these 3. Brian Underwood there in first, Philip Scott, Chris Gabot. Good fight for third. Underwood won the second of the doubleheader races last week at Daytona. Ninja Phil right behind him. On the Ninja Phil design machine. And just behind him is the 25 machine of Chris Gabot. Who I can neither confirm nor deny that he is in fact a cat, as his picture would state. I think we have to take him at his word, so he may be a cat driving a race car. Speaking of cats, Hello Kitty back in P10. Fresh tires there in the 95 of Will Ratliff, catching him. However, Ratliff back in 19th. Biggest mover of the race so far is this man, Jason Gracias. Gracia started back P16, currently up in 6th place. Putting in some decent laps. Right at 23:48. Looks like tire fall off right now is about 1.4 seconds, maybe about a second and a half over a 60 lap run, which has not been too bad. A couple of guys were saying that if you wound up taking 2 tires on maybe the last restart, oh, the 25 Chris Cabot had a big slide. We'll take a look at that one there. Eventually. Might as well throw this one back up. Just coming out of turn 2 here. Little too much gas, but he's able to get that one back rolling. And we'll go back green. Gibbo still there, P5. He's getting a little bit of pressure there from Gracias. Gracias takes a look high, can't quite do anything there. A couple of 2-car battles all over the track. A little bit further back, we have the 06 Josh Kreider and John Daniels just behind him. And you can hear the guys are having a hard time just getting back on the throttle out of 2. Car just wants to spin the rears, and that could spell disaster. Just some intervals up ahead on the top of your screen, as we'll see the field scroll on by. Good side-by-side battle here going between the 06 and the 02. Oh, big slide out of the 02. Daniels just got a little too much gas underneath, and he wound up having to save it. But Kreider gets the position. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, Mike Tellier, Luna Albright, those two pretty much stuck with one another, but as we're saying that, we got cars heading down pit road. Our first pit stops of the race. There's the 25 of Chris Cabot. Brandon Buchwald there as well. Crew goes around to the right-hand side. Kreider down on pit road too. So we should start seeing the leaders making their way onto pit road as Anthony DeBarro puts down Jason Shu a lap. Shu riding P12 at the moment. Underwood heads down pit road as the 06er Kreider pulls away. Able to hit his marks. As Brandon Buchwald coming back down, looks like he might have gotten a penalty on the pit road. Jeff Price heading on the pit road here. Meanwhile, out front, DeBarro still making his move as the leader. Kreider able to get his lap back. As Jamar Dumas makes his way down pit road. DeBarro, Johnston, all trying to stay out as long as possible. We have hit the lap 70 mark. And in talking with Jamar, he kind of sheepishly said, all right, maybe we'll do lap 70, lap 140, and this way it gives us a 60 lap run to the end. Because he was also saying how these fuel runs 80 to 90 laps, so you're going to have to pit twice. Maybe try to even them out. Some people were even saying maybe 80, 160, and then have a 40 lap run to the end. That'll definitely save your tires, but if some people do the shorter 70, 140, you may not be able to make up that time gap. That's a 20 lap difference in tires, and as we say that, yellow flag out in the middle of a pit stop. This could be interesting. Let's take a look. I'm getting reports that it might have been the 4 of Adam Stewart. So let's take a look here on the replay just to see all that happened. And it looks like it was. Take a look here on replay. As coming out of turn 2, so easy to do. Stewart, just a little too much gas coming out of the corner. He'll loop it. And that was that. So we're back under yellow, back live. Looks like the top 8 guys who did pit, or who did not pit rather, are making their way down pit road now. Anthony DeBarro, Tim Johnston makes his way into the box. Philip Scott is there as well. John Daniels, Luna Albright, Mike Tellier. These two, I swear, have been glued to each other's bumpers this entire race. But looks like DeBarro is going to make it out first. Then we got Tim Johnston. Jason Gracias is there as well. Great circumstance there for Gracias. Ewing still down on pit road. He might be getting some side damage fixed. Jonathan Gaston there as well. So after all that, DeBarro's still the leader. At least for now. Waiting for scoring and everything to line itself back up. Looks like a lot of these guys are going to get the wave around here too. Let's see if we can dial up our good buddy Jamar here. Hey Jamar, it's Bob G up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey Bob, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, not too bad. Well, it's been a pretty interesting race for you guys so far. How's the car handling? I know we had mentioned before the race that getting out of turn 2 has been treacherous. Has it been as treacherous as you thought?
Oh, definitely. You got to really wait on the throttle to get off turn 2, or you're going to go right in the wall every time.
So we'd mentioned before the race that pit strategy of maybe 70, 140, and then like a 60 lap run there at the end. Now that this caution is here, what do you think?
I'm going to stick with that. I think I pitted right on lap 70, and then the caution came out, so I only have 1 lap on my tires. I think cutting this last section in half would probably be the best thing to do.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we're going back green. I'm going to get you back to it. Good luck for the rest of the way.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, that was Jamar Dumas, driver of the number 28 machine here, as we see him getting his lap back after pitting under yellow. Meanwhile, at the front, pace car is pulling off. Green flag back in the air. Anthony DeBarro on the loud pedal. He's driving away. Man, look how close everyone gets to the wall there. It's heading down the back straightaway. Mike Floppy Tellier there might have grazed the wall just a tiny bit. Good battle here brewing as we get closer and closer. Oh, what a save by Tellier. He's sideways. Looked like the O2 of Daniels there as well. They're still side by side. Wow, what a save there by Tellier. We're definitely have to take a look at that. Oh, trouble, they wreck. Tellier as well as the O2 of Daniels, they go sliding into the infield grass. Doesn't look like Tellier got much damage, if any. But we're going to have to take a look at that one on the Tabletop Trio replay here. So we'll take a look at this one. As we go back in, first we'll take a look at the save. Tellier just barely grabs the apron, gets real sideways. The O2 had nowhere to go, so they're down 3 wide. Don't know if Tellier really realized that, as they're side by side, and then hot tires gets the 97 sideways. Gaston gets into him just a little bit. The O2 crabs the inside wall. And they'll get rolling yet again. I do want to see what that view looked like off of the roof of the 02 car. Let's see if we can get that view for us. Eventually here as we get things moved over. So here we are on board with the O2. You hear Floppy on the right-hand side, just in the corner of your screen. And yeah, Tellier just got a little bit loose. Just that little slide. Looks like everyone here, though, is okay, at least for the time being. The O2 coming off of pit road. A couple of guys heading down. Jeff Price, Jonathan Gaston. He's got a lot more right front damage than I actually thought he had received. If you are in the chat, make sure you pop in and say hey. Let me know who you're cheering for. As we've still got 114 laps to go. As Gaston gets back rolling yet again. That's the gap between him and the pace car, so Unfortunate, but our second caution of the day. We'll get things just a little bit closer. Hopefully this isn't one of those cases where cautions constantly breed cautions, as we always see in the real-life racing series. Especially now, everyone's got fresh tires, basically on the same playing field. And this race was just essentially shortened from a 200-lap race to a 115-lap race. So lights on the pace car are off. We're going to get back green momentarily. Take a look at some of these drone shots. Again, the cameras for tonight's race brought to you by our friends at Track Cams for Gourmets. You can check out the link to them in the description below. They've got some very cool options for both oval, road, and all that sort of thing. Also want to thank the Philadelphia Hot Sauce Festival for coming on board for tonight's race. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook, all the different social medias. But 20 plus of the best hot sauce manufacturers in the area, and I mean all over the place, coming to Neshaminy Creek Brewing in Pennsylvania. But the pace car is off. Green flag back in the air. And we're rolling yet again here at Richmond. A great battle brewing here for P2. Philip Scott coming alive here as the race goes on. He's to the inside of the 28 of Tim Johnston. Can't quite get the job done. Meanwhile, in the back, we have the 32 of Shane Ewing and Jason Gracias. I'd mentioned in the beginning of the race, those two guys, they are going to find their ways up towards the front. And there they are. There's Gracias right there in that orange Reese's machine. Shane Ewing a little bit further back. There's Josh Kreider. Kreider and Daniels side by side. Kreider to the inside of Gabo now. This battle right now is for P8. Take a look at the track map where all your favorite drivers are. Only a couple laps since going back green, so not a whole lot of spreading done quite yet. A little bit further back, here's Jason Shue trying to track down Adam Stewart and Jamar Dumas. Stewart back in P18. Couple of laps down there, unfortunately. Front bumper cam, just to really get a good sense of speed here on these cars. Oh, and as we say that, Shue grabs the wall just a little bit. It is so crazy, that camera angle there, to see how many cars are really pushing it to the edge, coming out of turn two, almost getting sideways like that. Is just wild. 95, Will Ratliff got a little sideways there. He was able to keep that one going. So just under halfway, Anthony DeBarro has led pretty much all of the laps, if not all of them. So he's already gotten the 5 points for leading a lap. He's already gotten the 5 points for qualifying on a pole. A couple more laps and he's gonna steal all three categories there of points. Because if you missed it during the opening of the broadcast, here's how the point structure works. 122 points for first, 3 points less for second, and so on and so forth. If a driver were to miss a race, they'll get 75% of whatever the last place driver's points were. So in this case, there were 21 drivers. So provisional driver or provisional points would net that driver 75 points or 75% of whatever 21st place points pay out. And here are the standings for tonight, heading into tonight here at Richmond. As you'll see, Anthony DeBarro, our points leader or our race leader, currently in 8th, only 57 points out of first. So we'll expect to see him leapfrog the majority of the field, if not being up there at the very front. So that will definitely be an interesting point scenario here as this race rolls on. But we're now 103 laps into this 200 lap event. That's the gap between first and second. Got ourselves a good battle going here between the 02 and the 06. Oh, and look at that. Mike Floppy Tellier back into the fight as well. Great night for racing here at the virtual Richmond Raceway. A little bit of a wind. 7-mile-an-hour wind. Currently 10 o'clock p.m. in sim. 79-degree track temperature, so all sorts of grip. You can take a look at the steering as well for the 06. Oh, wow, we got on the gas a little, or the brakes a little hard there, almost sent him around. Kind of see the back end just jut out just a little bit. This is the current battle for 8th, or 9th rather. Kreider has it, Daniels wants it. Tellier says, hey, don't forget about me. As looks like the 11th place driver, Underwood, is going to come in, but Underwood, unfortunately, going to jump to the pits. Not sure what happened there. Take a look on the Tabletop Trio replay just to see what happened to Underwood, because that was surprising. He was in P11 at the time. But I'm not entirely sure what had happened. Yeah, it looks like he just kind of came down pit road and said, all right, guys, that's enough for me. So a tough break there for Underwood, our points leader coming into tonight's race. Bookwald on the same lap as Adam Stewart. So right now the battle, there's a couple of fights out on track. Right now the fight is for obviously the lead, but then the race within a race is this guy, 28 of Jamar Dumas and the 35 of Robert Tripp. He's all the way back there in that red Philadelphia Hot Sauce Festival machine. Tickets at phillysaucefest.com, by the way. Jonathan Gaston also a lap down in 15th. Not having the start of the season he was expecting. Gaston, always a contender last season in the trucks. Only 3 races in, so no alarm bells ringing or anything like that quite yet. But definitely not the start of the season he was hoping for that number 72 machine. Meanwhile, out front, Anthony DeBarro has opened up the gap to Philip Scott. You can see it right there, 1.5 seconds. There's Philip, the Ninja Phil Designs machine. A little bit of a scuff there on the right side. He might have caught the wall a tiny bit. Tim Johnston there, as well as Jason Gracias. Shane Ewing with some pressure by Luna Albright. Albright to the inside. Ewing might have scraped the wall a tiny bit heading into turn 3. That lets Albright get to the inside. There's Albright getting the pass done. As Gabo had a big slide there coming out of the corner. But he keeps it going in the right direction. Brennan Bookwald looks like he's heading himself down pit road one more time. Might be coming back down for a bit of an unscheduled stop. This is probably the next closest battle on track. See where your favorite driver is, as we are pretty spread out all over the track right now. At the front, here's a good battle for second. Tim Johnston to the inside of Philip Scott. Scott to the outside. Johnston to the inside. Johnston hooks the apron really well. That gets him gets him a decent drive off the corner. They're now side by side. Here's Johnston to the inside. He'll get the job done. Scott tries the crossover. He's going to get there. No, he's not. What a great battle here between Scott Johnston and Jason Gracias jumping in the fray saying, hey, this looks like fun. Let me join in. And so he does. Philip Scott there, based out of Michigan. It looks like some pit stops are starting now, as here's Josh Kreider rather, coming down pit road, going to be taking 4 fresh tires. Going to be his final pit stop of the day. Cautions depending. There's the leader, DeBarro. Kreider 1 lap down, could possibly go 2, but he's got fresh tires, so he should be able to drive away from the leader. That's our field right now. Everyone's spread out at the moment. Philip getting real slidey there. And as we say that, here comes Luna Albright heading down pit road, as we watch on the drone cam. Luna painfully slow. 46 mile an hour, 45 mile an hour pit road speed. Into the box. Good stop there. First of our leaders to head down, aside from the 06 of Kreider. We'll see where these two come off, because this could be a good indication of who made the better choice. There they are, side by side, exiting pit road. Albright is going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage, but that is for position on the exit of pit road, right there between those two drivers. Good battle for position. They're 3 wide as Ratliff lets them go. The 06 might have scraped the wall a tiny bit. So far, Albright has the advantage. Albright, fresher tires, gets around the 28 of Jamar Dumas. Meanwhile, out front, DeBarro goes and puts Robert Tripp a second lap down. Jason Shu directly in front of DeBarro is the last car on the lead lap at the moment. Not quite clutching it. As we see Will Ratliff heading down pit road right there. It is always fun to hear how different drivers attack the corners. As you can see, no one behind him. And as we say that, looks like a couple cars heading down pit road. That's Shane Ewing on pit road. Same as Jonathan Gaston. Making his way down to the pits for service. Definitely going to be his last stop of the race. "14-second pit stop for Shane. Jason Gracias heads down pit road next. He's going to take his final stop. It's going to be real interesting to see where everybody cycles and where everybody comes around. Because if Gracias is coming down now, he's got a 63 lap run to the end, which is definitely doable. But I feel like if I'm one of the guys out front, I might stay out as long as I possibly can. Only to kind of give myself that opportunity to stay out, put as much distance between me and the cars who did pit. Maybe get a lucky caution, trap a bunch of guys a lap down much later on in the run. Something to kind of get anything going. Especially if I'm like one of the guys like Jeff Price, like Mike Tellier, Daniels even. You already kind of know, all right, I'm not going to catch DeBarro. I got to get something stupid to happen. Here comes Johnson pulling down pit road. And maybe if I'm one of those guys, I'm going to say, all right, I did 70 laps. I can do another however many laps you need to go. They said 80 to 90 laps before the race on a fuel run. Throw in those 2 caution periods as well. Might be looking at 95 laps. And if that's the case, you can do another 20 more on top of what you're doing right now. Maybe trap some guys down pit road. Who knows? But as we say that, here's our leader, Anthony DeBarro. He is in. Philip Scott will inherit the lead for now. Tellier pulls into his box. DeBarro there as well. There's Adam Stewart. Out front, Philip Scott heads down pit road. And as of right now, the fight for the lead, that'd be this driver. That's the number 8, Luna Albright. Albright and Kreider were the first 2 to pit a couple of laps before everyone else. Albright last pit on lap 127. Gracias 10 laps later. Josh Kreider pitted 5 laps before Albright. Right now, should everything cycle around, this will be your leader. As Albright goes and puts the 3 of Jason Shu a lap down. Shu just says, all right, go ahead. You've got fresh tires. I've been out here for a while. You go have fun. Just waiting on John Daniels and Chris Gabot to pit. There is Daniels letting Jonathan Gaston by. That's the gap. There's Daniels in the black, yellow, and red car. Chris Gabot in the Kyle Larson paint scheme, just a little bit behind him. About 10 car lengths or so between the two, or a 2-second gap. If you're just joining us, welcome. This is Total Nonstop Racing League here at Richmond. for the Philadelphia Hot Sauce Festival 200. Jamar Dumas heads down pit road. You can get your tickets today at phillysaucefest.com. More than 20 of the area's best hot sauce makers go head-to-head and compete for the Best Sauce Awards. Best hot sauce to put on a hot dog. Best in show. Podcaster's favorite. Whole bunch of different awards. Plus, you can try all of the hot sauces, and they are incredible. Plus, great beer as well. Neshaminy Creek Brewing. It's going to be this weekend, August 17th and 18th. Like I mentioned, tickets today at Philly Hot Sauce Fest or phillysaucefest.com. Also brought to you by a good buddy of mine, Cast Iron Kyle. You can check him out on Instagram. He renovates, restores, and shows off some really, really cool cast iron products. So make sure you give him a shout. And thank you to Kyle for sponsoring tonight's race. Hope we did you proud with some good-looking race cars out there, like this one driven by the number 35 Robert Tripp. But as of right now, our leader is the 02 of John Daniels. Daniels last pitted on lap 85. So if we do some quick math here, 80 to 90 lap run. If he goes bare minimum 80, he'd need to pit on lap 165. He still can't make it the rest of the way on fuel. But his strategy, if he were to pit on lap, say, 160 and change, let's say 162, that is a 20 lap difference over him and Anthony DeBarro, who when he and Chris Cabot have to pit, DeBarro will take over the lead. That's a 20 lap difference. He's going to have 20 lap fresher tires when they go back racing after his pit stop. That being said, those 20 lap difference, that only means he has 35 laps to make his way back up through the field. It's definitely doable. He's definitely got a good strategy going. I just don't know if that's going to work out to get him the win. He very well could steal a top 5 finish, but DeBarro only 8 seconds behind. Wasn't really able to get that big of a gap, wasn't really able to keep anyone pinned a lap down. And then by the time he pits, he might wind up losing a lap, and that'll be him in about 10th, give or take. Because we see it's about 40 seconds to be on pit road. Best lap for a lot of these guys are 23 seconds. The last lap was 22 seconds rather. The last lap was about 23, 24 seconds for these guys. So he is going to have a faster car, going to have faster lap times. So it very well could work out. But we'll have to see. He's currently got a 3.7 second lead over the 25 of Chris Cabot. Anthony DeBarro is our going to be leader. Right now, though, if I'm Daniels, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, all right, you know what? Well, I guess I'm going to be saying, all right, it's time for me to pit. But I would have been sitting there saying, all right, you know, let's see where this one goes. But here's Daniels heading down pit road. That's going to give the lead to, well, I was going to say Chris Cabot, but here comes Anthony DeBarro. DeBarro wrangles the lead away from Chris Cabot. Now he's side by side with the 3 of Jason Gracias. Or Jason Shu, he's got Gracias behind him. That's what I was trying to say. We'll see where Daniels comes out. He's a lap down. In 10th, the only car one lap down, though. So he very well could be the lucky dog if we get a yellow. So very smart move there on his part. Eight laps to go here at the line. DeBarro in the Ponte Carlo. Very cursed make. That's the gap to him and Jason Gracias. Put on the battle box. He's got about... Well, he's got Jason Shu in front of him, so 8/10 to Jason Shu, about 2 seconds total between Gracias and DeBarro. Let me know who you're cheering for in the chat down below. Also, feel free to give us a follow, like, subscribe, and all the fun YouTuber and Twitch stuff. Really does help us support the channel. Here's a battle for second. Tim Johnston to the inside of Gracias. Johnson able to get that one done. As always, this camera is brought to you by Track Cams for Gourmets. You can check the link out in the description below to get your camera angles. Pretty good looking battle here between these drivers. Got another battle forming between the 06 and the 32 of Shane Ewing and Josh Kreider. Ewing on the inside, Kreider on the outside. Kreider tries to get that move going there. He's in the top lane. That great looking Trevor Project paint scheme. Ewing on the inside gets a little bit sideways. He's able to keep it going in the right direction. Right now, this is really the closest battle on the racetrack. As looks like the 95 of Will Ratliff heading back down pit road. 29 to go here at the line. Chris Gabot finally pitting. I think he was basically running on fumes there. So this could be interesting. Gabot's going to fall around 10th. Daniels likely going to get around him for the most part. But then these two guys are going to actually battle for the lucky dog position should a caution come out. So let's see here. Daniels has gotten around Gabot. So everything I just said about the two of them fighting for a lucky dog spot, not happening. As Ratcliffe comes back down pit road. Yeah, Gabot looks like he lost 2 laps on that exchange. Daniels actually looks like he might have taken 2 tires, because looking on the timing and scoring monitor that I have, his last pit stop, only 10.3 seconds. So he might have taken 2 tires. And they were saying they've tried it in practice and it was way too loose. Meanwhile, out front here, DeBarro commanding 2-second lead over the 82 of Tim Johnston. Jason Gracias about a second behind him. We do have a decent battle here up front, though. Mike Tellier just about a second behind Shane Ewing. This is for position. It's actually a battle for 7th. But DeBarro says, hold on, I'm coming. 23 laps to go. Here's Tellier to the inside. As we ride on board now with Jonathan Gaston. Gaston just kind of sitting there saying, all right, guys, you fight it out. I don't want any part of this. And of course, as I say that, that's when DeBarro gets around Tellier. So we got Anthony DeBarro here in first, has himself a fantastic run. Led the majority of the race. P2, we've got the number 28, or 82 rather, of Tim Johnston. Johnston been around the top 5 for pretty much the entire race. Started P4, currently running in P2. Jason Gracias just behind him, 13 spots up from where he qualified in 16th. He's currently running P3. Going back through the field, Philip Scott in 4th, started in 11th, so he's picked up 7 spots since the drop of the green flag at the beginning of the race. Then Luna Albright here in 5th place. Josh Kreider in the 06 up 9 spots, running in 6th. Shane Ewing just behind him, just going a lap down in 7th. 8th place is the Hello Kitty machine, Mike Floppy Tellier. We saw him quite a bit in today's race. Got loose, spun out. Good to see him still there inside the top 10. A little bit behind them is the 02 of John Daniels. Chris Gabot in the 25 machine in P10. Jason Shu in a bit of a gaggle of cars. He just kind of pulls over and says, all right, go for it. Running in P11. There's Jamar Dumas in 12th. Robert Tripp behind him in 14th. Here's Jonathan Gaston, right next to Jason Shu in the number 72 machine We had mentioned Robert Tripp a little bit ago in 14th. 15th place is the 4 of Adam Stewart. Quiet race, but a good race for him. Spun out a little earlier in the race. Kept his composure, didn't get any damage. He's back in 15th. And out of the cars, still on track, 16th place and last in the running order for right now anyway, is the 95 machine of Will Ratcliffe. Some tough sledding there for the number 95 machine. Just in front of him, there's Philip Scott. As we now have 13 laps to go here at Richmond. Don't forget, if you missed any of tonight's action, you can check it over on the live tab on YouTube. Just search for Tabletop Trio. You'll find us there. Fun week of broadcasting for us here on the channel. Tonight, obviously, and every Monday night, Total Nonstop Racing League. Go live right around 8 o'clock Eastern, give or take. Tuesday nights, we're picking up the Speed Xfinity Series. Going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on the Tabletop Trio YouTube and Twitch channels. This Wednesday, we have a special Philadelphia Hot Sauce Festival preview show with Cast Iron Kyle, Wednesday night at 8. And then anywhere you find podcasts on Thursdays as well. But now we've got 10 laps to go, and if I'm Anthony DeBarro, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, all right, just got to listen, get myself ready, you know, ignore any weird noises the car might make, just hit my marks, get myself ready to go, just do exactly what I need to do here. And joining us next week in the booth will be the driver of the number 7 machine, Garrett Gleason. So that's going to be a ton of fun to race or to have him on the broadcast. Next week, we head off to Atlanta Motor Speedway. And that is the 2008 version of Atlanta. So tire wear is going to be incredibly important. So these drivers are really going to have their work cut out for them next week. But meanwhile, here we have 7 more laps around the circuit here at Richmond. As DeBarro is looking to put Albright a lap down. Albright has had a very, very quiet but very good run here tonight. Started in 3rd, currently running 5th. Felt like they were just right on the back bumper of the 97 machine. Tellier currently running back in 7th. This is actually a pretty decent battle there, as the 06 and the 4 might have made a little bit of contact. The 06 has 4 laps to try to catch the 8. They pitted right around the same time with each other. Lap 127 for Albright, lap 122 for Kreider. They were the first 2 that pitted. And that move definitely worked out for both the 8 and the 06. Let's see if the 06 is able to get anything done here. Hopefully we don't see any Austin Dillon moments like we saw last night in the real-life Cup Series race, because that would absolutely warrant a suspension and the win taken away here in TNR. But meanwhile, out front, here's the 27 rather of Anthony DeBarro. White flag is in the air. One more lap around for Anthony DeBarro before he can claim victory here in just dominating fashion. Out of turn 2, he looks good here. Down into turn 3, gets the car to rotate just fine. Coming out of turn number 4, Anthony DeBarro is going to be the real winner here tonight at Richmond. Coming across the line, looked like Kreider got Albright at the line. As teammates celebrate the win. What a great run, but I do want to see what had happened there between the 06 and the 8 at the line. Take a look here at the instant replay. Go back here to the replay. The 06 down low. And the 06 just says, that looked like fun, and spun it around down onto the apron. So we'll take a quick look here on the last couple of laps as we get our interview set up. As we'll talk to our top 3 finishers. The one of Jason Gracias. The 82 of Tim Johnson and Anthony DeBarro. We'll move these guys over to the interview waiting room. Still looking to see where Jason Gracias is. If we can get him in. I am not quite seeing him yet. But that is okay. We are going to move and get our second place finisher, Tim Johnston, up here in the booth in just a moment. As we'll get everything in here. But I have been able to catch up with our second place finisher, Tim Johnson. Tim, first of all, congratulations on the second place finish. Tell me how it was out there for you.
Oh, thank you. It was actually a pretty good race. Couple of nice long green runs in there with some tire fall off and some guys playing some strategy, trying to pit 2 or 3 laps before each other. So, but all in all, I think it's a really fun race. This car's really fun around here.
Yeah, and taking a look at it, we saw in practice especially a lot of guys having trouble coming out of turn 2, coming out of turn 4 as well. Did you notice any issues just kind of getting the power down, or just kind of throttle management was the name of the game?
Throttle management was definitely the name of the game. Not too bad at the start of the run, but probably anywhere from 30 laps on or so, if you full throttled it too early, it buzzed the rears and you get really loose. And even at that, if you were easy on it, you were still buzzing them almost all the way down the front stretch and the back stretch, about 50 to 60 laps into a tire run.
Towards the end there, you were starting to close a little bit on DeBarro. Looked like you're about 2.5 seconds back at the end of the race. Do you think if there were maybe a few more laps, you would have caught him, or do you think DeBarro just kind of checked out and said, all right, I'm gone?
I think he kind of checked out and said, I'm going to the field tonight. I think his strategy had pitted about 5 laps after me, so I'm not even sure with a few more laps and no lap cars if I would have been able to get to him or not, but I doubt it.
Well, taking a look at next week, we're going to the legacy version of Atlanta, the good Atlanta, as a lot of people are saying. What are your thoughts there? I'm sure tire strategy is going to be pretty important next week.
Oh, absolutely. I certainly enjoy the old Atlanta more than the new one. Tire strategy is going to be key. Saving your stuff for almost the entire run, so long as the track is still the way it used to be, and depending on the weather, of course. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Atlanta hot and slick.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. And Tim, before I let you go, I'm sure you have some shout outs and thank yous. I'd love to hear them.
I just want to thank my teammates at Dizzy. Everybody in here raced a really clean race, the entire league. Thanks to the guys for putting this on, and thanks for you guys for the broadcast. You guys did a great job last week, done another great job this week, so appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, Tim, congratulations there on a P2 finish, and we're looking forward to seeing you out there next week at Atlanta.
That sounds great. See you guys next week.
All right, that was our second place finisher, Tim Johnston, and now we're going to be joined with our winner of tonight's Philly Hot Sauce Festival 200 here at Richmond, driver of the number 27 machine, Anthony DeBarro. Anthony, first of all, congratulations on the win. Looked easy out there for you tonight.
Well, I can assure you it was not easy, and I am a little sweaty right now, so I worked for that one. It was a difficult car to drive and to manage your tires and not overdrive it, because it's easy to get into racing someone or a guy catches you from behind, and you got to really, the first 5-10 laps, really take care of those tires, so at the end of the run you have a little something left to keep pace in the lap time.
Yeah, I was talking with a couple of drivers before the race, and they were saying how, turns 2, turn 4, just really hard, especially on late runs, to not put the throttle down right away and spin up the tires, lose control of the car. Did you kind of notice that as the run went on?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you really you weren't paying attention, or you looked down at a lap time or something, it was really easy you'd be in the middle of the D shape there, or even the backstretch, and you just light the tires up, and it really catch your attention there. And then you got them all mad, and you're going to the next corner, and you know how that goes, and you're sliding into the center. The rear's wanting to enter faster than the front tires.
Yeah, that is definitely something difficult to manage out there. Moving forward to next week, we're heading to the legacy version of Atlanta, the 2008 version with the sandpaper for asphalt. What are your thoughts kind of looking forward to next week?
I think it's going to be much the same. I'm hoping, they had it a couple times I've run there recently, you could run the third lane in 3 and 4 and almost the wall in 1 and 2. So hopefully that still works. But it was you wanted to be right on the white line, like the Harvick line. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I think it's going to be an excellent race. We have a great group of guys here, and that was a lot of good racing tonight. And I was very, very shocked to I've a lot of leagues you go in and you don't get a 1 caution race at Richmond. That's extremely rare. So that was an awesome race to all the drivers that participated, and I've had so much fun tonight.
Awesome. Well, Anthony, congratulations on the win. Before I let you go, do you have any shout outs for us?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Garrett and Mike and everyone that puts this whole deal on, having us come back, the Dizzy guys, and to all the drivers. I would like to again, I'm repeating myself, I sound like a broken record, but to go 1 caution at Richmond, everyone should pat themselves on the back, because that was not an easy car to drive, and to try to race someone, let alone was driving by yourself, was so difficult.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun out there. Anthony, congratulations there on the win, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys out there next week when we head over to Atlanta.
Thank you.
All right, that is going to do it for our post-race interviews for tonight. As always, if you missed any of the race tonight, you can check it out immediately following the broadcast over on our YouTube channel. Just click on the live tab and look for the race here at Richmond. So, for one final time, I want to give a quick thank you to everybody out there watching, everyone in the chat as well. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all the standard YouTuber stuff. As always, it definitely helps me out here. Make sure you check out our sponsor, Philadelphia Hot Sauce Festival. It's going to be this weekend, August 17th and 18th at Neshaminy Creek Brewing in Pennsylvania. Eastern Pennsylvania in Croydon. So if you're in the area, make sure you stop by. More than 20 of the best hot sauce manufacturers in the country going to be there, and free samples. Buy whatever sauces you want, get some cold beer, and just have yourself a great time. So for one final time, camera consideration is made possible by Track Cams for Gourmets. You can check them out in the link in the description below. And for one final time, my name is Bob Giaquinto. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight at Richmond. We'll be back next Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, right here on the Tabletop Trio Network. Have a great night.